Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. In this episode, I'm going to answer the question once and for all, what's the best style juicer to make the coconut cream? I know you guys are a lot into cream, and I want you guys to be into coconut cream instead of dairy cream. In my opinion, coconut cream is a lot healthier for you. And it's really easy to make if you know how to do it. And all you need literally is some coconuts. I mean, these coconuts I got at the local dollar store for $1 each. Super simple, super easy. Now this video is only going to cover coconut cream and processing standard coconuts to make the coconut cream. I'm not talking about coconut milk or coconut butter or coconut oil or anything like that. I do have other videos on that. If I remember, I'll put some links down below. But this video will supersede all other videos for making the coconut cream, since this is my latest test where I'm actually testing 3 different style juicers for you guys. If you guys want to make coconut milk, actually for coconut milk I use the Omega VSJ 843, and I'll put a link down below for a video on coconut milk and almond milk and how I do that with a blender and the Omega VSJ 843. I also now use, the blender is the Kuving's vacuum blender SV500 when I make the coconut milk. That being said, today we're making coconut cream, and to start off with, first thing you're going to need to pick out your proper coconut. So we have 2 different kinds of coconuts here. These are actually both from Mexico. This is the standard coconut you might see at your store. You know, it's brown, and this is what we think of coconuts. And when you're picking out the coconut, this is the most important thing before you even make the cream, is to pick a proper coconut. So when you shake it, can you guys hear that when I shake it? You can hear the water sloshing around. I estimate this coconut to be about maybe 2/3 of the way full of water. And this is really good. That tells us this coconut is really fresh. If you shake it and there's not a lot of water, that could mean a few things, like the coconut's getting really old, it's getting a little bit dehydrated, the meat's getting old, and it's not gonna process as well for you guys. Sometimes what you might see at the store are these guys, and this is maybe like a tan or like light brown coconut, or maybe even white coconut. I call them white coconuts because they're lighter in color. These guys are basically just the same coconut, but they're a little bit younger in stage, and these ones may not make the coconut cream as well as more mature ones that have gotten kind of like the meat harder and thicker and kind of more oily. This meat tends to be not quite as oily, and the coconut cream won't extract as well out of these guys here. So if you guys can, always get the brown ones and get them in a good shape. You always want to look around the eyes and make sure the eyes, you know, look good. There's like no spotting. If there's spotting around the eyes, like little small spots, that could mean there's a rot going on. These guys actually look alright. Yeah, so picking the right coconut, step 1, and then step 2 is you got to have the right appliance. So the appliances we'll be using today are the Slowstar juicer. This is the vertical single auger juicer by TriBest. How this works is you put the produce in here, and then basically it's ground up by this auger here, and the produce is literally crushed and squeezed. Now, in the case of the coconut cream, literally we are juicing only coconut meat, and then that's going to grind up the coconut meat and extract out the rich, delicious water plus the fat plus some of the fiber, you know, out of the coconut for us. So basically we're going to use these juicers to juice, but instead of fruits and vegetables, we're just using it to juice literally the coconut meat. And so the other thing I want to say is that, you know, not all juicers will do this task. Juicing coconut meat is a very difficult task for any juicer, and I do not recommend using most juicers for this task, especially the juicers that are made in China. May have lower quality parts, their screens may not be quite as strong, and you may or potentially will damage your screens if you're trying to process the coconut meat through like an inexpensive juicer that's not properly built. All these machines here that I'm showing you guys today are made in South Korea, and these are high quality machines, each with quite long warranties. Actually, this guy, the Solostar 4, has a 15-year warranty, the Green Star Pro has a 15-year warranty, and the Slowstar over here has a 10-year warranty. The cool thing about the manufacturer TriBest, who offers all these machines, you know, they say that juicing the coconut meat to make your coconut cream is an authorized use of the juicer. So that means your warranty will be covered should your machine break due to no fault of your own. That being said, the problem that can happen with any juicer when you're juicing the coconut meat is if you don't get all the shell fragments out, right? If you put shell fragments in any of these juicers, the juicers are likely to break, and that will not be covered under warranty, and then in which case you're going to have to own up to your mistake and actually buy the parts to correct the issue. In most cases that might be the screen, and in some cases that might be the auger. So when you're processing the coconuts to take the meat out, be sure you take your time and make sure you get every possible shell fragment off before processing. So yeah, so this machine works on a vertical level, and I like the vertical juicers because in general, if you're processing produce, for example, you know, this juicer can juice a wide variety of produce, from leafy greens to fruits and vegetables. It does it all fairly well, right? And it's also fairly quick, actually. Moving over to this guy, the Solostar 4 juicer. This is called a horizontal single auger machine. So how this one works, instead of the auger going up and down and vertical, this one actually moves horizontally. So this is kind of like more of an old-fashioned meat grinder with the little auger running. This actually has the longest auger of any single auger horizontal juicer that I'm aware of. And when you put the produce in here, or in this case, the coconut, the pieces of coconut are put in there, that it basically is spinning around, and it basically moves the coconut down into the screen, this conical screen here, that basically crushes the coconut and squeezes out the coconut cream. I like that the Solostar 4 actually has the most screen area of any horizontal single auger juicer, which means likely you're probably going to get more yield out of this machine than others. In addition, this actually runs at a lowest RPM and has more torque, and that's going to be especially important when processing the coconut. That means it's basically just going to power through it without stopping. And let's see, also very easy to clean, assemble, and disassemble. So the pros of this machine, like if we were juicing fruits and vegetables, is that, you know, this style machine is the best for juicing things like leafy greens, and especially things like wheatgrass, sprouts, and microgreens. This juicer, out of any of the juicers here, will juice those items the best. This juicer will also juice things like hard vegetables and carrots, you know, fairly well. But if you want to juice like straight fruits, this is not the machine for you. You can juice fruits when juicing your vegetables and leafy greens if you alternate feeding them, but if you're just putting in straight fruits, this machine doesn't like it too much because this machine does need some hard fiber to push the produce through the machine. Last over here we got the Green Star Pro, and if you're looking for a machine to make the highest quality juice and highest yield, the Green Star Pro is it. In addition, the Green Star Pro is the only machine that I'm showing you guys today that is commercially approved. Both ETL sanitation, which is equivalent to the NSF, that's required by many health departments, as well as commercial electric certification. It can be used for commercial use. If you do use it for commercial use, it has a 3-year warranty. So if you want to make coconut cream for commercial use on a small scale, this is the machine for you. It does have a 30-minute duty cycle, meaning you could run the machine for 30 minutes, make all the coconut cream you guys can in 30 minutes, and then after that you have to turn it off and let it rest for another 30 minutes. So if you wanted to get into serious production, you'd have 2 of these guys. And basically the first 30 minutes you'd run this one, the next 30 minutes you turn it off, let it rest, cool down, and then you'd be using the other one. You just flop back and forth to do that, but I don't know how many people would be processing that much coconut cream. Anyways, how this guy works, we'll take it apart very easily here. How this one works, I like that it snaps apart really easy. Inside this one, there's 2 very nice, look at that, 100% stainless steel gears. Both these juicers have a GE Ultima material, which is 8 times harder than just the standard plastic formerly used on the augers on these style machines, so that's really good. It's probably the hardest plastic out there. But what's better than plastic, in my opinion, is stainless steel. 100% stainless steel. This is going to grind up the stuff, no problem whatsoever. And basically, as you put the, in this case, coconut meat in there, it's going to basically grind it up, and literally, in the first stage, it's going to grind it. The second stage is basically pressing and squeezing out the juice, or in this case, the coconut cream, the fat, and some of the water content. So let's see, make sure we got these lined up properly as we reassemble this guy. Probably the negative to the Green Star Pro is that it does take a little bit of time to clean this unit, so that's probably the longest in cleaning. This guy's going to probably be the shortest, and that guy is probably in the middle. And then next we're going to go ahead and put in this guy here. and finally put our top back on. So the Green Star Pro definitely is good for juicing things like hard vegetables. I mean, if you want to focus on juicing hard vegetables, carrots and beets, this guy is going to get the highest yield overall. It also does the leafy greens fairly well when juiced with the vegetables. It'll also juice the leafy greens, sprouts, and wheatgrass alone. But that being said, if you do juice greens alone in this machine, it'll tend to make it a little bit more foamy. So for that reason, I like this guy, that you can juice them straight in without creating that much foam. On fruits, this guy, once again, needs some hard fiber, and it doesn't juice straight fruits too well. But if you want to mix fruits with your vegetables and leafy greens, it's going to do a great job. And I would hope that, you know, even though you guys are watching this video on coconut cream, that you guys, if you do buy one of these machines for making coconut cream, you could also juice with it, because juicing, in my opinion, is actually more valuable than making coconut cream, as delicious as coconut cream is. And that being said, actually a really good thing to do when you're making your juices is actually always juice a few chunks of coconut in your, mature coconut in your juice, because now you'll have some of the coconut cream mixed in with your juice. And guess what? When you eat the fats, like the delicious fats in the coconuts, with high antioxidant, fruit or vegetable pigments such as anthocyanins or zeaxanthins or chlorophyll or lutein or whatever, you're going to actually get a higher level of uptake of those phytonutrients in your juices. So that's very important. Anyways, without further ado, I think the next step is we're just going to go ahead and crack some coconuts for you guys. I'm only going to do one, and then I'm going to do off camera. I got to open a lot of these guys because I'm going to have a good sufficient quantity of meat, even amounts of meat to juice in all of these three machines. Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate real quick on one of these guys. So to do this task, you're going to need only a few things. I like to use, I think this is called a fillet knife. So it actually has like a nice, tip here. It comes down to a really small point. And then that's one thing. Next thing, you need a coconut demeating tool. If I remember, I'll put links down below so you guys could pick up these. They have redesigned this one since I bought it, so it looks a bit different now. And then I just got like basically a standard meat cleaver that's actually quite heavy for its size to crack the coconut. So the first step is we're going to go ahead and take our fillet knife. We're going to take a coconut here. And on the coconut, there's always 3 holes. Unless it's a GMO, then it's going to have 4. Actually, that was a joke. But anyways, two of the holes actually have eyebrows, so you can kind of see there. These are the eyebrows, and it has a smaller hole. And the third one is the mouth. It has a bigger hole. So on the mouth, we're going to take my fillet knife and just slice it in there. And this is the reason why it's long and skinny, so I could actually slice it in there. And when you slice in, if you listen carefully, you should hear it go psst. Yep, there it was. And then we're just going to take the fillet knife and roll it around the hole to basically make the biggest hole we can with this fillet knife. I like this fillet knife because it literally could kind of get in there really easy, so I could really enlarge the hole, because this hole size is going to be critical to basically get all the coconut water out, right? So we got a nice big size hole, and now we can just easily pour out the coconut water. The smaller the hole you make, the slower this is going to go, so I always like to make the biggest hole, and that's the right tool I found for the job. I firmly did use a coconut opening tool, but they're just not quite as precise or as good for this task here. Now, one thing when you open a coconut, you want to take a look at the water that comes out. If the water is a little bit murky like this, that's totally fine. If there's like some pieces in there, that's fine. But what you want to look for inside the water is if you kind of see like this cloudy, fuzzy stuff. I mean, I see a little bit of that here. This probably isn't the freshest coconut, but it's probably still fine to use. But if you see a lot of the cloudy, murky stuff, that's not necessarily a good sign. Now, I might just usually sieve this out through a fine sieve and then just drink the water. But if there's a lot of the stuff, that's an indicator that this coconut is actually not too good. The next step is you're going to take your cleaver here, and you're going to basically tap around the equator of the coconut. So, I mean, this is the point at the bottom, this is the hole we put in the top, and we're going to go around like this is the earth, right around the equator, and we're going to tap and turn. I like to use the back side of this, so it's not the sharp end, it's the back side. So we just basically tap it and turn, 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 tap, turn. Alright, so we pretty much broke off the coconut, and wow, look at this. In this case, the coconut shell is just coming off fairly easily. revealing the whole coconut. So this is actually quite nice. Let's see if we can just tap this. This doesn't normally always happen because normally the coconut is stuck to the shell. So this makes my life a lot easier today. Wow, look at that. So now we got the whole coconut meat out. And you want to look for any kind of discoloration. So, you know, it's kind of gotten a little bit flat here. And it's looking a little bit funky. I might shave that off. But inside the coconut, this is the brown. It's maybe called the testa. And this is not a shell. It's just kind of like the brown coloring. This is fine to use when you're making coconut cream. If you're a frou-frou chef, then you're going to want to shave this off so that your coconut cream stays totally white. I don't care if my coconut cream is a little bit off color, but by juicing the testa here, you're probably going to get a more nutritious coconut cream. So that's how you get into a coconut. Now I'm going to do one more for you guys since this guy came off a little bit easier. You know, it's not the normal way you do it, and I didn't even have to use my coconut demeating tool. Once again, we got the fillet knife here. We're going to pop through that single hole. We heard the psst. That's a good sign. If you don't hear the psst on the coconut, that means the coconut could be bad. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad, but it's a better sign that the coconut is probably may not be good for you guys. So let's see. Once again, we're using this fillet knife to basically enlarge the hole here, and now we're just going to go ahead and pour out the coconut water once again. Alright, so it looks like we got all the coconut water out. Next is we're going to go ahead and take the cleaver knife, and this time actually I'm going to use the side with a blade on it. Now if you do this, be very careful. And we're just going to basically tap it around the center equator just a little bit, not too hard. Alright, and if you tap it enough, basically you're going to be left with two halves, and this is what normally happens. You have two halves, and the coconut meat is stuck to the shell. So the next step is you're going to go ahead and take your coconut demeating tool. I like to actually just have it, you know, propped against something, and you're going to insert the coconut demeating tool right between the shell and the white edge there, and you're just going to kind of rotate it around. All right, so I'm just pushing and rotating around. Be very careful when using any of these tools, whether it's the cleaver or this coconut meating tool. They do have edges on them. They can be very sharp. This can get actually quite dangerous. It doesn't take a lot of strength for the most part, but it does take some perseverance. So I'm just going around the shell with the tool here, and I'm kind of like flipping my wrist a little bit to flip it up as I do this. And as I do that, you guys can see I got the whole coconut meat out. Now here's the thing, like I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, but right here it's like really discolored. Looks like maybe some kind of mold growth starting to happen. So when you do this step, you want to make sure, number one, there's no shell. The testa's fine, but any even small shell fragments, even as small as this, not good. They should not be put through the juicer. So because this has some discoloration, we're going to go ahead and put it on our cutting board, and I'm just going to cut off all the discolored parts. It kind of looks a little bit brown, and you know, the meat where that's occurring is a little bit like reddish. So we're just going to cut off the affected parts that have the bad parts. Generally it's isolated to a certain area, but of course, you know, if you want, you can cut off the whole testa just to be sure. I am seeing some areas with it on there, so we're just going to cut all that stuff off. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and demeat this other half, and I'm probably going to demeat about 5 more coconuts off camera, and I'm going to come back with clean meat ready to process through these different juicers. Alright, so as you guys can see, I got the coconut meat nicely chopped up, all the shell fragments shaved off. I put them into 3 quart-sized mason jars, all up to the exact weight of 522 grams. So first thing, to make sure we have a fair test today, we're going to go ahead and give you guys the weigh-in so you guys can see we got a fair fight. Alright, let's take a look at the scales. Over on the first one, looks like we got 522 grams. The next one, 522 grams, and the final scale 522 grams. So it looks like we have even amounts of coconut meat on each of the scales. Now that you guys saw we have an even weigh-in, let's go ahead and distribute each one of these jars to each juicer. This one goes to the Green Star Pro, this one goes to the Solostar 4, and this one goes to the Slowstar, the vertical auger juicer. Let's go ahead and move these scales out of the way, and let's get set up to create some coconut cream. Now, the thing I want to let you guys know is that, you know, each one of these machines, although we're processing over 500 grams, which is a little bit over a pound, this is not going to produce a lot of cream, right? I mean, if you juice 1 pound of carrots, it would turn into about 8 ounces of juice. On average, 1 pound of the fresh coconut meat will turn into about maybe 4 ounces of the coconut cream. So that's even half of the yield that you guys will get out of something like the carrots. And that's because, you know, there's a lot of there's not a whole lot of water content in there, and when you're juicing it, you're going to get out some of the water content, some of the fiber, and also just the fat. So it's a little bit different than the juicing process. So we're going to go ahead and use just a small cup, and we're going to basically put it up here so it goes right in. We're going to go ahead and put collection cup there, turn this on, and we're just going to feed in the coconut. Now the main thing is, number one, you got to make sure you remove all the shells. I've also cut these up into small bits so I can just toss those in one piece at a time. You don't want to like toss them in and toss all of them in at once. That could really be bad. The coconut meat is actually quite hard, especially if you get an older one that's been sitting around the grocery store that doesn't have a lot of liquid in it. And that can be really bad and even break your juicer screen. So you want to do this at a nice slow pace here. I'm putting a handful at a time. As you guys can see, it's juicing, and we're getting the pulp out, but we haven't yet got any cream out yet. If you look closely on the juicing screen, you can see it's something starting to come out, and there's some stuff getting stuck on the wiping blades. And finally, we're getting actually some coconut milk out, but it's actually not quite the cream yet. I'm not getting any, the cream is still getting like stuck inside the machine. Alright, so we're letting this process little by little. And it looks like to me we got mostly some coconut milk. Oh, some cream starting to make it out of the chute there. It's kind of gotten stuck a little bit. Now I do want to say that, you know, I am recommending and using these Tri-Best products today because they kind of make some really durable machines. You know, I have done the coconut cream in the past with like an Omega 8004, which I did recommend for a while. But I did see that it had, you know, many challenges with screen breakage. Although it does work, you know, it can be hard on a juicer. And so now I recommend these products that actually have a little bit more stout or heavy-duty screen. If you're juicing coconut meat and especially feeding it too quickly on some juicers, what may happen is that, you know, you're going to actually bend out your screen and potentially even break it. Alright, so I think we're pretty much done. I mean, as you guys can see, this was pretty effort. I didn't really even have to use the pusher. Everything just fed right in. Oh, got one last piece there. But now the challenge we have with this is that there's a lot of stuff coming out, and we got a lot of cream still stuck inside the juicer there. So we're just going to go ahead and let this run just a little bit more until the pulp stops, and then we're going to go ahead and actually have to take apart the machine to actually get all the coconut cream that's spinning around inside the machine into the collection cup. Now this machine is designed for juicing, not designed to make coconut cream. So if you don't want to get your hands dirty and just want a nice finished product, you might want to look to one of these other machines that are probably going to better drop out the coconut cream in your collection cup. Alright, so this guy's been running for quite a while, and if you let it run long enough, I found out that actually almost all the cream will come out and kind of get out of the inside. That being said, some of the cream is still stuck inside. So I want to make sure we have a fair comparison, and we're going to go ahead and get this out here. And wow, this is actually getting a little bit warm inside there. So let's see here. If we pull out the screen apparatus, you're going to see on the anything that came on the outside of the screen is fair game. I would call cream. Let's see. Let's go ahead and try to put this down. So basically on the wiping blade there's a little bit of cream, and then on these little wiping blades here there's a little bit of cream. So there's a cream on the bottom of the wiping blade set up, and then actually a little bit on the blades themselves. This is not really that much. You know, if you just turn your machine off right when you're done, this is going to still stay inside the machine, but I found that actually as it runs it actually starts to work a little bit better, because what I believe happened, it starts to generate a little bit of heat. And when it heated up, some of the oils in the coconut oil like kind of ran better. So it kind of got a little more liquidy and came out. In addition, you know, anything in the extreme outside of this bowl, I'm going to consider coconut cream, if it goes into the middle, that's where it didn't where it was supposed to be ejected as pulp. So we're going to go ahead and try to weasel this out and get all this stuff out the hole here, and that's going to be a little bit difficult. I think it's coming. Alright, there we go. We got a nice big blop. Alright, yeah, I mean, vertical juicer is probably not the best juicer to do the cream. It's going to get a little bit messy to get all of it out there. But I'm going to try to do the best I can to get most of it out here. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. This does look like a fairly thick cream, so there's like lots of different chunks in there. And that's just how it is. You know, every juicer is going to have its pros and cons when juicing and or making coconut cream. Alright, so let's just go ahead and set this back up top. That wasn't too bad, just made a little bit of mess trying to get that cream out. Alright, so what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and put these into 3 even size glasses here. Oh, and I want to stir this cream up actually. Because also what came out with the cream is a lot of the milk, so we're going to mix the cream and the milk up, see if we can get one homogeneous mixture here. Yeah, this looks really, really like gritty. Let me see if I can show you guys that. It's not super, super like creamy like I'd expect a cream to be. Like cream, you don't want all this grit in there. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and pour this in this guy. Alright, so this was all the cream made by the Slowstar. Let's use the Solostar 4 next. And so we're just going to go ahead and maybe collect our cream in the same catch cup right there. And we're going to get a pulp catch bin. And now once again, I do have this machine set up for juicing. We're going to use a standard juicing outlet knob, cranked on all the way tight. This is fully assembled properly. And we're going to turn this on, and once again we're just going to go ahead and feed in the coconut pieces. Now on this machine it's also auto feeding provided you cut these guys up. Once again, make sure you do not put any shell fragments in. That will ruin your juicer. That will not be covered under warranty. I do feel a little bit more comfortable feeding this in a little bit faster than on the vertical, but nonetheless you still want to take, you know, your time and not like dump the whole thing in. Basically this is going to pull it in only as fast as it can accept it, so it's a little bit easier. Oh, we got a jam there. If your pieces are not cut up big enough, you're going to have to use a pusher to get it pushed in. So if you guys can see, we're juicing this stuff. We got a lot of pulp coming out so far. Oh, and we're finally getting some of the drips out of the screen there. And once again, I put too much in. We're going to have to use a pusher to help push that in there. Alright, so far we're just getting coconut milk out. I'm not seeing any cream coming out of this machine as of yet. Now what I want you guys to be aware of when you're making the cream or actually juicing on the Solostar 4 or any other horizontal auger juicer, you may see some movement in the auger housing. This is completely normal, so don't be alarmed. So the cool thing on this machine is you can kind of see what's going on inside there like you could on here, and inside there I can see the cream building up. The cream's pretty much coming out of the last end part of the screen, and the first set of holes you're getting a lot of the basically the kind of like the pulp of the coconuts being shredded up, but they're not necessarily dropping down into the bowl yet or in my collection cup. Now I do want to let you guys know that, you know, in this test I'm actually only putting in the coconut shreds once through each juicer. I figured that'd be kind of the most fair comparison. That being said, once you get the pulp out, you could actually put it back through the machine a second time, even a third time. I don't know that I'd go more than 3 times. And each subsequent time you'll get a little bit more of the cream out as the juicer breaks down more of the fibers. As the juicer warms up a little bit, it might work a little bit better to extract some of the fats out of that, because, you know, at warmer temperatures the fats kind of like turn into more of a liquid instead of a solid. So this guy's doing really well. I mean, the Solostar 4 is a horizontal single auger juicer with the most torque that I'm aware of, so it's really hard to stop this guy up. I mean, on the Slowstar, it didn't stop either. When juicing the coconut, it just piled through it all without problem. So I mean, really, what's happening now? It looks like to me that we're really like making like coconut milk out of this stuff. Doesn't look like a lot of cream is being made. I think a lot of the cream is like literally stuck inside the machine, and it's not getting ejected out of the machine. Oh, I've seen a plop of the coconut cream coming out there. And last few pieces of coconut going right in the machine. And that's all she wrote. Now once again, once you're done juicing the last bit of coconut, you're going to want to let the machine run until the pulp stops flowing. We'll be back at you when it's about done. Alright, so it looks like the pulp has stopped flowing out of the ejection port. We're going to go ahead and turn this guy off. And then we're going to take this apart. It looks like to me that we made mostly coconut milk with some cream in there, but most of the cream is still stuck inside the machine. So we're going to have to take this apart. Let's see if it comes apart easily. Yes, it does. And so now we got to be careful on this point here, because as soon as we take this off, I don't know what's going to happen. We might get coconut cream falling everywhere. Alright, yeah, so just as I had imagined, let's go ahead and tip this up a little bit. Pretty much all the cream is still stuck inside the machine there. So we're just going to go ahead and take my knife and just scrape off the cream from the inside of the juicing cone. Now this cream does look to be nice and cream-ish. It doesn't have like a lot of fiber like the previous one, and that's because the cream created on this part of the screen, or the outlet cap here, came out of the small holes, right? If you try to make cream with a juicer that has too big of holes, then it's going to let a lot of pulp in the juice, or into the cream, instead of just the cream is what we want. And I'm having to resist right now eating this stuff because it does look so good. So I'm just scraping out the cream from the outside wall of this, and if you try to scrape the stuff right in the middle there, that's not cream, that's the ejected pulp. So you should be aware of that. But yeah, let's see here. Let's try to get as much as I can out of this without spending a lot of time. Alright, so I think we got all that off there. Now we got to get it off the screen here. Alright, man, this is going to take me a little bit, so I'm going to scrape, and I'll come back at you when I've gotten it all scraped down. Alright, so I think I pretty much got all the cream out of here, and actually so far this seemed to make like a lot of cream here. Let's go ahead and reassemble this guy here and clean this up out of the way. Now, I was pretty careful and tried to get as much cream as I could out of the machine, and this is basically what I got. Once again, there's lots of coconut milk in there, and you know, if the coconut was juiced at the end part of the screen, then it was kind of fine. Oh, and I forgot the little bit that was stuck in here. It was a little bit fine, but if it came out the first set of stage screens, it was a little more coarse. So we're just going to go ahead and try to mix this up into more of a cream there. And finally we're going to go ahead and pour this guy into another nice tall glass, same exact size. So this one actually produced significantly better, and I do want to let you guys know that I used the same exact coconut. So I got a coconut, cut it up, cut into pieces, and then I basically distributed the pieces in each one of these cups so that they would all have the same exact age, or approximately the same exact age coconuts, because some are a little thicker, some are a little younger, and if I put like all the meat from one coconut that's older compared to like one that had younger meat, it wouldn't be a fair comparison. Alright, so look at that. So far, so good. Looks like the Solostar 4 is currently the winner. Alright, so lastly, we're going to go ahead and juice in the Green Star Pro. Let's go ahead and move this Solostar out of the way here and move the Green Star Pro front and center for you guys. This guy is actually the biggest machine, and you know, in my opinion, probably the one that's going to do the best job juicing the coconut to make the coconut cream. Let's make sure we got our jar here properly underneath. Make sure we got our collection cup underneath. And then what we're going to do is, once again, this machine is set up to do the juicing function. It has the small hole screen, and of all these machines, it has the smallest hole screen of them all. So this should do the best to make the most cream without as much fiber. Anyway, and we will have to be using the pusher. This one will not auto feed like the previous two. Let's go ahead and turn that baby on. And with this guy, you know, you don't want to once again overload it too much, but you want to put some in there. And then you're going to use the wooden tamper to push that in. And literally, this machine is grinding up the coconut to make the cream. And then it comes out at the end. You want to make sure this guy's on at full tightness. I'm going to pour a bunch in and then crank it in there. And finally, now we're getting a little bit of the coconut milk out. Alright, this is going really easy. I mean, it does take a little bit of downward strength. You know, the more you kind of cram in the feed chute, the harder it's going to be to push. If you just put a couple pieces in at a time, it's probably going to be a little bit easier to push. So far, this machine looks like to me is just making the coconut milk. I'm not seeing any cream coming out. It's likely that the cream is actually getting stuck up inside the machine, you know, as it just comes out of the screen, and it's actually not dropping into my collection cup there. Now, if you guys want to make coconut milk, right, what I generally would do is I would take the meat, whether it's like, you know, this much meat, and I would actually blend it with water first, and then I'd blend it with water, and I would use a vacuum blender to do that. And then I would pour the blended water and meat mixture through the machine to make the coconut milk. And that'd be a lot more watery consistency, you know, than what we're making here, which is, you know, a lot higher in fat content, right? Alright, wow, well, this machine's piled through that really fast and easy. Really, I mean, that's pretty much it. We got it all through there. I think this was almost maybe the fastest one to use because I was actually using the pusher to push things in. That being said, it looks like we got mostly the coconut milk come out, but then I'm seeing some cream that's just literally sitting there and plopping in. Once again, once you you know, put that last piece of produce in, you're going to want to let this machine run just a little bit. It looks like it's pretty much stopped dripping, so we're going to go ahead and turn this off. And here's all the pulp here, which we will compare in a little bit there. But let's go ahead and take this machine apart and show you guys what happened on the inside. Pop these guys off here. I like this machine because right when you pop these guys off here, let's see if we do this properly. Alright, so here are the gears, and if we pull out the gears, hopefully we're going to... Oh wow. The gears come out, and we don't want any of this. This is not really the cream. This is actually the pulp that's being ground up. What we do want to get is all the stuff that's dripping right now out. And it's in the bottom of this. It looks like the screen actually got caught inside here due to all the coconut in there. So we're going to carefully pull this guy out. Alright, look at all this stuff, man. This is the cream we want. It's pretty much all come out when I pulled out this screen. So this is going to be the easiest job of basically taking my knife and scraping this cream off into my collection jar. And man, this cream is nice consistency. There's very little like fiber to it, unlike the other one that actually put lots of like little maybe coconut shreds in there. because this, once again, the screen size is so small, this machine literally just put pretty much the cream and extracted the cream only. Alright, so it looks like I basically scraped off all the coconut cream off the outside of the screen. These things are slippery, man. This just like popped out of my hand a second ago. But yeah, you know, doing this task is not the cleanest task because you get coconut everywhere. Let's see, there's a little bit more, oops, right underneath here. Looks like we got it, and that's pretty much it here. Once again, we're going to go ahead and stir this one up. And man, this one has the nicest consistency of them all. I mean, yes, we did totally get some coconut milk in there, but also we have the nice cream there. So let's go ahead and put this in a glass here. Wow, that was like the nicest cream so far. So as you guys can see, this is the Green Star, oops, this is the Green Star Elite right there. That's the Solostar 4, and this is the Slowstar. Next, let's go ahead and, oh, since we're getting cream, I think I'm going to do this. We're going to go ahead and actually, I'm going to pour off all the liquid, because like the liquid shouldn't really count, because that's not really cream. That's like coconut milk. So I'm going to get a sieve and strain this off, and then we'll do a weigh-in on how much cream was created with each machine. Alright, so we got a measuring cup, we got a sieve there, and let's go ahead and pour this baby off to see what we got there. Man, like, I want to show you guys this up close. So this is the one from the Solostar, and to me, this doesn't really look like cream. Maybe we'll shake it down there and try to get some of the milk off. But I don't know if you guys could see that, like the texture on there. I mean, that texture looks like pretty much like coconut shreds, like whole shreds came out in there. And you know, I'll be testing this in a little bit, but first I want to try to shake this off and get as much of the milk off as I can. Alright, so after straining the milk, that's pretty much what we got left. We're going to go ahead and put that back in our cup there. And then we got very little milk there. Next, we're going to go ahead and pour out the Solostar 4. And that was pretty liquidy there. And once again, showing you guys the texture on this one. This one also looks like there's lots of shreds in there. I mean, this wouldn't really be a cream in my opinion. I mean, neither of the first two would be a cream in my opinion. Alright, so I think we got all the liquid off that. Let's go ahead and put it in our cup there. That actually had a lot more liquid in it than the Slowstar. And finally, the Green Star Pro here. Pour that out. That has actually a fair bit of liquid as well. But I don't know if you guys can see the texture on that cream there. There's significantly less pulp, large pieces of pulp. So actually there's actually less yield overall. And wow, that's pretty cool. And so next I want to do is we're going to go ahead and weigh how much each juicer created here. Okay, including the glass, which I did weigh these glasses earlier. They all were within 2 grams of each other. So that's the air margin. That's 450 grams total, right? Next we got 490 grams total. So this is the Green Star Pro. So this is 490 grams, and this is the Solostar 4. And then finally the Slowstar, and that's 515 grams. So actually that made the most weight. But although it made the most weight, does it mean it's the best coconut cream? Let's go ahead and taste it to find out. Alright, so let's see, we're going to go ahead and taste this guy. And just to let you guys know, I think the cups were approximately 405 grams each. So we're going to go ahead and just take a scoop of this here, and we're going to try it. Wow. I mean, it's definitely good, but to me, this is not a true cream. There's like way, way, way too much fiber in there. Alright. Next, the Solostar 4. That's better. It's actually a lot creamier with less fiber. But still, I mean, there's lots of coconut shreds in there. To me, this is not a cream either. Finally, the Green Star Pro. Although this had the less yield, it also looks like it has the least amount of shreds in there. Tasting that, wow. This is the best cream by far. So again, I want to have another bite. It's definitely the most richest, fattiest, with the least amount of fiber or shreds added. Now there are some shreds in there, but it's significantly less than the other two. Wow, I'm about to say the Green Star Pro definitely did the best job at making the coconut cream today. So now what I want to do is actually try the coconut milk. Actually, this is really thick coconut milk. I don't know, maybe you'd call this coconut cream. Man, that's like really, really rich. That's totally amazing. But anyways, as you guys saw, each of these juicers did the same exact task. They had no problems doing it whatsoever. They each worked a little bit differently. And you know, maybe some of you guys want more shreds in your coconut cream. Maybe some of you guys don't. I think I'll say this. If you guys are going to process like lots of coconut, because I only did like 1 pound of coconut, you definitely want to go for the Green Star Pro. You know, it has a commercial, electric, and commercial sanitation certification. It could also run a half hour, as the other machines could run a half hour on a half-hour duty cycle before you should turn it off, and it should take a mandatory break. I'm confident that this one will definitely make the most cream after testing these guys side by side. Of course, your results may vary, and this depends greatly on the coconuts you buy. If they're more mature or less mature. The less mature they are, then maybe you're going to have less shreds in there because the meat's going to be a little bit softer. Maybe it's going to turn into cream a little bit better. But this is the results that I got. And, you know, once again, your results may vary. That's pretty much it. Oh, I think the other thing I want to talk about is cleaning. So cleaning these guys up, you know, especially because I got 3 machines to clean up tonight. I'm not looking really forward to it. But what I will say is the Solostar 4 will take the least amount of time to clean. Next, the Slowstar juicer, and then finally the Green Star Pro with, you know, a little bit more parts will take the most amount of time to clean. It's really not that hard, but I know that is important for some of you guys. I think in the end, I always like to declare a winner of these juice offs, or in this case, the coconut cream off. And I think I'm about to say the winner is the Green Star Pro. I mean, mainly the texture for me is the most important thing. I mean, yeah, maybe the Solostar 4 was like second best, and then followed by the vertical, which I don't think was really a good option because I had to really clean out in there, and it was kind of a pain. But I like this guy because it made the best cream without the amount of fiber in there. You know, many people would just eat the cream. You could turn the cream into like ice cream if you like mix the water back in, or the coconut milk that came out, mix it back in, mix it up with some fruits and berries and, you know, dates or something, blend it up, and then put it in an ice cream maker. That'd be totally amazing. Some people will take the cream and actually ferment it and add probiotics, turn it into a yogurt. Some people will just take the cream and spread it on toasts and whatnot. I think the thing I want to say is once you make the fresh cream right, you should use it within like 3 days. And if you do store it in the fridge, if you do store it in the fridge, be sure to store it in the fridge under vacuum, you know, in a vacuum sealed jar for better storage length. Because these guys, it will start to ferment once you extract all the delicious coconut cream out of the mature coconuts. I think that's pretty much it for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, want more videos like this, be sure to give a thumbs up. If you're looking to buy one of the juicers that I used today to make the coconut cream, be sure to check the links down below in the description. I'll also put links in the comments so you can check out and learn more about these juicers and actually how they perform to juice. Also, be sure to support me in my work. If you guys enjoyed this video, it takes a lot of time for me to open coconuts, chop coconuts, weigh coconuts, process coconuts. make the video and then actually clean it all up so that you guys could know what happens in each of these juicers if you do the same task. Please be sure to support my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. I want to thank you guys for in advance for those of you guys that will purchase from me, and I want to thank you guys for those of you guys that have purchased from me in the past. This allows me to continue to make these educational videos because literally nobody else in the world goes to the extent that I do to show you guys the truth about what happens when you put produce items or even coconuts through the juicers, so you guys can be an informed consumer and know what you're buying before you actually buy it, alright? So yeah, and if you support me, I can continue to do this, and if you don't support me and buy from another retailer, then I'm not going to be able to continue doing this work and making videos and other educational videos on YouTube to help make the world a better place. So, and then finally be sure to click that subscribe button right down below to be notified of my new and upcoming episodes of coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what video or juicer, dehydrator, vacuum blender I'll be demonstrating for you guys. And it's always something new and exciting. Also be sure to share this video with somebody else that's looking to make coconut cream. You know, they could watch this video, they could see how it's done, and they could learn all about the juicers and see the final results that you guys got to see today. Also be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, over 500 episodes at this time on this YouTube channel, comparing these juicers, usually when they're actually making juice. Also other demonstrations of vacuum blenders as well as dehydrators, and my videos are a wealth of knowledge. So I guess with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors.